Hey guys, welcome back. How are you? I hope you are good and doing well. So, in the last lecture, we discussed that how we can perform reviews on the pull request, okay, or how to review pull request and how to provide comments and how to reply on the comments. Okay, now in this lecture, we will not we will not discuss any assignment or any task, but we will discuss an important topic that is very important because moving forward in the projects or any kind of projects, you must wait for some time and just look at the things that what you learned and what you did. Okay, so here we will discuss an important question that could be an interview question for you, or that could be an important learning for you as well. So we will discuss that what is the difference between class and scope methods. I mean, what is the difference between class methods and scope in the Rails? Okay, so we created scopes in our job model. Okay, so here you can see that we have five scopes, that is for remote jobs, on-site jobs, and then jobs based upon the statuses like active jobs, inactive jobs, draft jobs, and so on. Okay, now what is the difference between class and scope methods? Okay, so first discuss about the scopes. So here you can see that this is the syntax structure of the scope. So first you need to use the scope keyword, okay, and then using then after the scope keyword you need to provide a scope name in the symbolic form, okay, and then at the comma and this sign, and then in the curly braces or in the block you can provide your query. Okay, so scopes are mainly designed or mainly used for using active record queries only. Okay, these are not designed for the for the complex logics. Okay, complex logics means like if you want to display some queries or some records based upon certain conditions, for example using some if else or unless or proc lambda, whatever it is, okay, based upon some calculation, if you want to display some data, then scopes are not designed for that purpose. Scopes are only designed for fetching the data from your database. Okay, so these are only used for the active record queries. Okay, and whenever you use scope, it always provides the active record relation in the response, or active record relation object in the response. Okay, now let's come to the class methods. Okay, so you can achieve the result that you are using that you are achieving through the scopes. You can achieve the same results using the class methods as well. For example, here you can see that right now our project is working. Okay, let me restart the server. Sorry. So you can see that our project is working. Okay, so you can see that everything is working here. Our search is working. For example, let's find the full-time jobs, and when you click on the search, everything is working, and it is working based upon our scopes, that is active jobs. Okay, now what will happen that we can avoid this scope, so we can achieve the same result. We can still achieve the same result using class methods. Okay, so first of all you need to know that what are the class methods and how to create the class methods. So in class methods, in the model of the Rails, okay, so it is just simply a Ruby class method. And how we can define the class method? So def self dot your method name, so we can use active jobs. Okay, and then end this method, and here in this method you can use this query. Okay, so just use this and paste it here. So if you go to the browser, you can still see the same data. That means your query is working, or your class method is working, and it is returning the same data as you can return in the scope. Okay, so this is the similarity between the scope and class methods. Okay, so and the way of calling them, like how can you call the class methods in the Ruby? So for example, your model name is class name is, let's say, job, and your class method is active job, so you need to call it like self dot active jobs. Okay, so this is how you call the class methods and how you call the scopes from the model. Okay, so this is the similarity. But the class methods provide you greater flexibility if you have to perform some complex logic to fetch the data. For example, let's say if I have some conditions, let's say if let's say some condition here, some condition, then return this, else do that, or else do something, and this and so on. So if you have these kind of condition or these kind of requirements, then you should use class methods instead of scopes. Okay, because here we are returning the data from the database, or we are fetching the active record objects from the database, but based upon some conditions. Okay, so we are performing some calculations or condition verification, then we are fetching the data from the database. So in that case you need to use the class methods. Otherwise, if this is the only thing that you need to fetch, like this is the only thing that you need to do, then I would suggest that rather than using class methods, you need to use scope, these kind of scopes. Okay, so this is the thing that you need to do. Now what will happen, that if you have the a class name, a class method, and the scope with the same name, so what gonna execute here? This question can be asked by any interviewer or recruiter from you. So what will be executed here, this scope or this class methods? Okay, what will be executed? So think about it, because but let me tell you that this class method will get executed rather than this scope. Why? Because both has the same name. Okay, and since we know that Ruby executed line by line, so whenever you see job.active jobs, first it will come to here, but at the last it will see job.active job as the class method. Okay, and you can verify it. For example, let's say puts, let's make it in some comma, and after performing the query, let's make the puts statement again. Okay, so if you go to the browser, first make some space into the terminal and now refresh the page. Okay, okay, this is the reason why we are getting error, because the last line that this method is returning is the puts. Okay, so that's why we are not getting the active record collection as the response. But if you go to the terminal, you can see that we are getting this line to be printed. Okay, so our class method is being executed, not the active jobs scope. Okay, why? Because both has the same name. Okay, and we are getting this error because you can see that we know that the last line of a method is its return type in the Ruby. Okay, or its return value. Okay, so this is not returning this active record collection. But now for example, let's say if you remove this puts, okay, and then refresh your browser, you will get the data. Why? Because the last line is this includes company where status active. That means this is returning the active record relation as the object. But if you go to the browser, if you go to the terminal, you will still see this line that it is being printed. Okay, so that's why if you have the similar name of class method and scope, then make sure that first you should not have the same name. Okay, and if you have the same name by mistake or some intentionally, then you should notice that whatever comes in the last will get executed first. Okay, now the other thing is, are the scopes chainable or the class methods chainable? Okay, so anything which can be changed, or you can chain any methods upon, that depends upon its return type. Okay, why? Because you can see that this scope will return the active record relation object. Okay, so you can change further query methods here, like let's say limit, or order, includes, joins, whatever, find by. Okay, so whatever active records methods that you want to perform here, or that you want to change here, you can do. But with class method, you need to notice one thing, that since class methods are not primarily designed for returning the active record relations, because we have scopes for them, and class method can return different data types. For example, it can returns array, it can returns integer, it can returns float, string. Just we see here, so you cannot chain data there, or sorry, you cannot change further query methods there. Okay, and is there any performance difference between using the class method and the scopes? So I would say it depends upon the situation, that how you are using that. Okay, for example, if you have this scope or this kind of class method, okay, then there is no performance difference, because both are doing the same thing. Both are eager loading the company and then fetching the job data based upon its status. So both are the same here, there is no performance difference. Okay, but in class methods, if you try to find some data based upon some calculation, then it depends that how you get that calculated value, and then you run your query or execute your query. Okay, then the performance of the class method depends upon that custom logic or the complex logic that you perform within the class method to fetch the data. Okay, and based upon the return type is like what the value you is returning, how it's being calculated. Okay, so this is the thing that you can say, that class methods can have different performance significance if and only if you use the custom logics or some extra calculation, and it depends, mainly depends on how that calculation being performed. Okay, so this is the difference between class methods and scope. Now, what you will prefer, class methods or scopes? Okay, so again, it depends upon the scenario. If you only need to fetch the data from the database, you need to run the SQL queries, then I would say always prefer the scopes rather than class methods, because scopes are mainly designed for that reusable queries. Okay, and if you have to perform some complex calculation to fetch the data to calculate the results, then I would say prefer the class methods. Okay, so scopes are better when you use only SQL fetch or when you have to run SQL queries to fetch the data, and class provide the better flexibility to you if it requires additional calculation or some complex calculation to fetch the data or to compute the conditional logic or additional logics in your uh, program to return the data or return the results. Okay, so it this is all the different, this is the all difference about the class methods and the scope. Okay, so I hope you got some better idea about the class methods and the scope. Okay, so this is how you can differentiate between class methods and the scope. Okay, so just follow this and we will meet into the next lecture, and now we will discuss about another task and assignment in the upcoming lectures. Okay, so thanks for watching this and we will meet into the next lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, stay safe.